Okay, so think about like those times when you're just trying to get somewhere,
Uh-huh.
right? Like maybe you're headed down south, you're on a train going to Tirupati,
Okay.
just packed in, shoulder to shoulder with everyone you know, all going to the same place.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're stuck in that just awful traffic in Zirakpur
Right.
and you're watching the minutes tick by and you know you're supposed to be somewhere.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole thing with the monsoons, right? Will they come? Will there be enough? I've definitely been stuck in that Zirakpur traffic before, just like wondering if I'll ever get out of it.
Yeah. I mean, those are not just one-off things.
Yeah,
For so many people, that's just like everyday life.
right.
And when you consider how big and diverse India is,
Yeah,
these challenges with moving people around and managing resources, like they really create some big bottlenecks.
for sure. And that's actually what we're going to look at today. Because just this past Wednesday, April 9th, 2025, the Union Cabinet did something pretty big. They approved a whole bunch of infrastructure projects, and we're talking a lot of money over Rs 4,800 crore. But what's really interesting is that these projects are specifically aimed at fixing those everyday problems we were just talking about.
Yeah, and what's really cool is how specific these projects are. It's not just some vague idea of development. These are actual plans to fix specific things in different parts of the country.
Exactly. So today we're going to look at three main things. First, a big upgrade to some railway lines down south, then a new bypass up north, and finally, a nationwide effort to modernize our irrigation systems. It's kind of like a targeted approach to fix some of the biggest logistical problems we have.
Yeah.
And it's not just about laying down tracks or pouring concrete. It's about how these changes could actually affect your life, make things run smoother, a little bit less complicated.
Yeah.
So let's start down south, shall we? That railway line between Tirupati Pakala and Katpadi, what's going on there now?
So right now, that whole stretch, which is 104 kilometers, it's all running on a single track. It's like trying to squeeze a whole highway's worth of traffic onto a tiny little road. It just can't handle it, and that creates all sorts of traffic jams and delays. This line is really important. It connects those key places in Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu, but it's been running way over capacity for a while now.
It's like a good old workhorse, right? But it's just been asked to do way too much for too long. But that's going to change with this new approval, isn't it? There's a lot of money being put into this.
Exactly. Homeless Sound R is 1,332 crore, to be precise. Basically, they're going to build another track right alongside the one that's already there. Like finally adding that second lane to the highway. But for trains, this is huge for the region because it's going to add about 113 kilometers to the whole railway network going through 3 districts and 2 states. And it's not just about faster trips. It could also mean more tourism for Tirupati. People might stay longer. Local businesses could make more money. Maybe less about just rushing through a pilgrimage and more about actually experiencing the culture.
And you have to think about how important Tirupati is. The Tirumala Venkateswara temple draws in people from all over the world. We're talking an average of 75,000 visitors every day. And during festivals, that number can shoot up to 150,000. That's a lot of pressure on everything, including that railway line.
Oh, yeah. For a lot of pilgrims, the journey itself can be pretty rough. All the crowds, the delays. With 2 tracks, there can be more trains and they can run more often and be more reliable. They'll make the trips much faster and cut down on all those annoying delays. You make traveling a lot less stressful and unpredictable.
So hopefully it'll be less of a hassle to get there and people will have more time to actually enjoy themselves. Maybe they can even relax and sip on that filter coffee instead of, constantly looking at their watch and worrying about missing their train. But it's not just about making things easier for pilgrims, right? This upgrade must be good for the economy of the whole region.
Oh, definitely. They're predicting that the doubled line will be able to handle an extra 4 million tons of freight every year. That's a lot more stuff being moved in and out of the area. And when it's easier to transport things, it costs businesses less money. So that could mean more trade and a better economy overall. It's like getting those goods moving smoothly, helping out local businesses instead of them being stuck in bottlenecks and delayed.
Right. Keeps things flowing, keeps businesses running smoothly. And it's really cool that they're thinking about the environment too. It looks like this project will actually help us use less fossil fuels and reduce carbon emissions.
Yeah, the environmental benefits are pretty impressive. They're saying it could reduce oil imports by about 4 crore liters every year and cut CO2 emissions by a massive 20 crore kilograms. To put that in perspective, it's like taking 1 million cars off the road every year. It really shows how investing in good rail infrastructure can be great for the environment.
It really makes you think differently about something as basic as a railway line. It's not just about the tracks themselves. It's about connecting people, making things easier for everyone, boosting the economy, and even helping to protect the environment. Okay, so the Southern Railway Network is getting a major upgrade. Now let's shift gears and head up north to Punjab, where we'll tackle another common frustration, traffic jams. Zirakpur, I've heard it can be pretty rough. Have you ever been stuck in that endless traffic around Zirakpur, especially when you're trying to get to Panchkula or into Haryana? Well, if you have, then you know exactly what we mean by soul-crushing traffic. What are some of the economic downsides of all this traffic in Zirakpur that make this bypass so important?
Well, that area has become a major bottleneck because it's where several important national highways all come together.
Mm-hmm.
There are just so many cars and trucks going through Zirakpur every single day, and it causes huge traffic jams and delays. It's not just a pain for people who live there, it also affects people traveling long distances and slows down the movement of goods. This all costs money because it reduces productivity, wastes fuel, and causes delays in supply chains.
So what's the plan to fix this problem? I hear the cabinet has approved a lot of money for a new bypass.
That's right. They've approved a big investment of RSF 1,878 crore to build a brand new 6-lane Zirakpur bypass with controlled access. This new road will be 19.2 kilometers long, and it will connect NH7, which goes from Zirakpur to Patiala, with NH5, which links Zirakpur and Parwanu. Basically, it'll be a new corridor for transportation cutting right across Punjab and Haryana. This is what they call a hybrid annuity model, which means it's a partnership between the government and a private company. It's a good way to spread the cost and the risk, and it can help the government manage its budget better.
And the main goal of this bypass is to take a lot of that traffic, especially from places like Patiala, Delhi, and even the Mohali Irasati, and give them a faster, more direct route to Himachal Pradesh.
Exactly. The idea is to create a whole new route that goes completely around Zirakpur so people don't have to go through all that traffic.
Yeah.
It'll save people a lot of time, reduce all that stress and frustration, and who knows, maybe they'll even be able to enjoy the scenery along the way instead of being stuck in a traffic jam.
Less honking, quicker trips, and maybe even a chance to admire the view. That sounds pretty good to me, especially if you've ever been stuck in Zirakpur traffic. And this bypass is specifically going to help with traffic on some really important national highways like NH7, NH5, and NH152, all of which are known for being really congested.
Yeah, it's about taking some of the pressure off those major roads in the north, making it easier for people to get around and reducing the amount of time and energy they waste sitting in traffic.
It sounds like this bypass is going to be a really welcome improvement for that whole area. Once it's built, anyone who regularly drives through Zirakpur should have a much better experience. All right, so we've talked about better trains in the south and a way to avoid traffic in the north. Now let's switch gears completely and talk about something that's really important to a lot of people in India, irrigation. We're moving on from concrete and asphalt to something a little more, well, you said it, wet. We're going to look at something that's absolutely vital, irrigation. And the government has approved a large investment for this under a bigger program called the Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana. You can think of this as the National Mission for Improving Irrigation. And this specific part of the mission is called the Modernization of Command Area Development and Water Management, or MCADWM for short.
Right. This third initiative is all about agriculture, which is a cornerstone of the Indian economy. The government has allocated RSS 1,600 crore for the fiscal year 2025-2026 to this MAWM subscheme. And the main goal is to make sure water gets from existing canals, reservoirs, and other sources to farmland as efficiently as possible. It's like upgrading the plumbing system for agriculture, making sure water reaches the fields without wasting it along the way. And this modernization is about more than just getting water to crops. It could actually help farmers grow a wider variety of crops, even ones that need a lot of water and wouldn't have been possible before because the water supply was unreliable. This could really change the agricultural economy of these regions.
So it's all about reducing how much water is wasted and making sure more of it actually gets to the crops, which is really important for farmers who depend on a reliable water supply.
Absolutely. This modernization could really boost how much farmers can grow and lower their costs because they won't be wasting water. The big picture is to help farmers be less reliant on the monsoons, which can be unpredictable, and to give them a more consistent and dependable source of water for their crops.
And this is a big investment with a pretty tight deadline. They're aiming to have it done between 2025 and 2026. We've seen some big government water projects get really complicated and delayed in the past.
You're right. Big infrastructure projects, especially when it comes to water, can run into all sorts of problems. But what makes me optimistic about this one is that they're focusing on improving existing systems, making things more efficient, and directly helping farmers. Even small improvements in water availability can make a huge difference for communities that depend on agriculture.
It shows how all these different parts of the economy are connected. Improvements in irrigation not only help farmers directly, but they also help to make sure there's enough food for everyone and that the economy is stable. So when you look at all three of these initiatives together, the railway expansion, the Zirakpur bypass, and the irrigation modernization, it's clearly a coordinated effort. We're talking over Rs 4,800 crore in total investments. It's more than just a bunch of separate projects. It seems like there's a bigger strategy at play, don't you think?
I think you're right. It really shows that the government is serious about addressing some fundamental needs: how people move around the country, how goods are transported, and how important natural resources are managed. These are all connected pieces of a larger plan to make things work better and improve people's lives in different parts of India. And the potential benefits are huge.
So let's quickly recap each project and talk about how it could actually make a difference in our listeners' lives. For anyone who wants to go to Tirupati, whether it's for a pilgrimage or just a visit, the doubled railway line should make the trip smoother and more reliable. And for people traveling in the north, the Zirakpur bypass could save them a lot of time and stress. And the improvements to irrigation could mean a more stable food supply and better livelihoods for countless farmers across the country.
Exactly. It's all about making everyday life better, whether it's a more comfortable pilgrimage, a less stressful commute, or a more secure future for farming communities.
But, of course, getting these projects approved is just the first step. The real test is going to be making sure they're actually built on time and within budget. We can be cautiously optimistic, but it's going to be important to keep a close eye on how things are going.
That's always the tricky part. Taking those plans and turning them into actual roads, tracks, and irrigation systems on the ground. That takes careful planning, efficient work, and a lot of oversight. And meeting those deadlines of 2025, 2026 is going to take a lot of focused effort from everyone involved.
So in the next few months, we should start to see those railway tracks being laid, construction work starting on the Zirakpur bypass and the new irrigation infrastructure being built. It's all about reaching those targets. And for our listeners, this could mean better travel experiences and hopefully a more reliable and affordable supply of food. It's a big step, or actually several big steps towards progress in a country as large and complex as India.
Absolutely. These initiatives show a real commitment to improving India's infrastructure, and they have the potential to really make a positive difference in people's lives.
It's amazing to see these big investments in railways, roads, and irrigation, and it really makes you think about what else could be done. What other areas of life in India could use this kind of focused attention and investment to bring about positive change? It's something to think about as we watch these plans become reality.
Definitely. There's always room for improvement, and it's important to keep looking for ways to make things better for everyone.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.
It's been a pleasure.
And we'll catch you next time.
See you then.